All right, what's up, guys? We're here with Jase Macalpine from Gypsy Tales. Really needs no introduction, but sitting down here at Paula. Thankful that you're hanging out with me and willing to sit down and spend a little bit of time with me. I appreciate it. But yeah, so you're out here in the States. What are you doing here? What's going on? What's the skinny on why you're in the U.S. right now?
Yeah, I guess a lot of our audience is here. Obviously pretty big in the whole moto across the world. A lot of that goes down here. So yeah, no, I've just been sort of working on getting back here for a little while, just with the podcast. Now we've always had our studio in Costa Mesa. Well, actually, it started in Temecula.
That's right. I thought it was in Temecula.
Yeah. So it was in Temecula for a while. Shout out to Jacob, and then it's up in a agency in Costa Mesa now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, plan is basically just to I'm going to be splitting my time between here and Dubai mostly, and then back to Australia every now and again for a holiday. But yeah, just recording shows and just trying to build up the pod as much as I can.
Yeah, and then so it's good. I mean, because I think you have to be. You've experienced this. You don't have to be in SoCal to like be involved here, but it is pretty good to be able to like get the riders, especially when you're trying to get the views and stuff like that. When you're local, it's way easier. I mean, it does help having like the satellite studio and stuff like that. But being in person, there's nothing that beats it.
Well, and then like it's just the time difference too. You know, like so when I was in Dubai, I'd have to do a show. What time was it working out? It was working out to be like 6 or 7 in the morning US time, and it was 8 p.m. Dubai time.
Okay.
So like I'm literally doing interviews from 8 to midnight or 9 to midnight, and then so lining up everyone's schedules. I'd say to people it was sort of like trying to shoot clay pigeons, but you got to shoot through 2 of them at the same time. So yeah, just like access is so much easier here. Everyone's around. Obviously in person's better.
Yeah.
But to be honest though, like the satellite stuff, we had it so good. Like after 5 minutes, like you really don't notice it. But yeah, you really just can't be in person.
Yeah,
plus it's like the events. Like I've just been going to event after event after event.
Yeah, because the first one you went to was Loretta's, right?
No, I went to Washougal first.
Oh, that's right. You went to Washougal.
So I literally flew in. I landed on the Friday before Washougal.
Okay, and then you went straight up there and hung out.
Yep, and then I went to Wes's place in Idaho for a week. Wes Williams from Verb.
Yep.
He's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And then went to Loretta's and then came back. Then I went to Mammoth, came back, and then I'm actually this weekend going to Next Level Ranch.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, for the Verb.
So how long will you be there?
Oh, I think it's like till Monday or something.
Yeah, so it's not like you're going to be there for like 2 weeks or anything.
Nah.
Is it harder for you when you go on like location like that? Because whenever I go somewhere and like a lot of riders are in one place, I always try to go like, oh, I need to get stuff like because everybody's there. Is that something like you try to plan ahead? Like when you go out and you went to Washougal, you're like, oh, I know this guy's going to be there.
No, I literally didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I've kind of got to the point now where it's like, if it's not in studio doing the pod, like I don't really care to do it that much. It's just content is such like a consistency thing, you know.
Yeah,
like, want to see that person on that background on that thumbnail, you know. Like that's what does the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, Loretta's was honestly just about like going there first and foremost, like experiencing it. And then I just saw like so many people that I haven't seen in years. It's been 5 years since I've been
that's what I was going to say. How long ago you were here before?
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's rewind it a little bit. How did you first get into moto? Not necessarily riding, but like how I know it was like filming or photography. That's how it like originated.
Yeah.
But you grew up in Australia.
Yeah.
Did you start it over there and then come here?
Yeah. The quick story. Grew up in Cairns, which is like way up in the sticks in like North Queensland, and it was like a little bit of a. Todd Waters came out of there, Jackson Richardson came out of there, Mitch Evans came out of there, Wilson Todd came out. So like we had a pretty crazy little crew when I was a kid. My dad raced, and we didn't really race that much when we were kids. Like I didn't do my first race until I was like 15 when I bought my own bike. But we were always like around. We rode a little bit. And yeah, I'm fully obsessed with bikes my whole life, like for whatever reason. And then I just knew I wasn't going to be pro, so I was like, all right, I want to do something in the sport. I was really good at writing, so I started writing articles for magazines. And then honestly, there was like just no Verb Moto of Australia.
Yeah.
And then I quit the magazine I was working for when I was like 20 maybe.
Was it a Moto magazine?
Yeah, the dude that owns the Frost Full Throttle Sports, he's the guy that owned the magazine.
Oh, okay.
Konski, So I sort of like worked in the industry a little bit, and then I just quit that, and I was like, I want to do the Verb Moto of Australia, like no one's doing it.
Yeah.
Bought a camera on a credit card when I was like 20, and then no one was really doing it that much in Australia. And then, kind of just like filled a void. And just hustles, like I think I'm used to that hustle mentality, like coming from where I come from. Thought it just wasn't much going on there, like you had to make shit happen. And then come to the States in 2010. And then, sort of, I don't know, just I really like it here. I like the people. I like the industry. I like the fact that you can there's not really like a ceiling here,
No,
like,
there ain't.
In Australia, there's definitely a ceiling for like what you can do. Whereas here there isn't. So it's like,
well, I mean, I think over there you're kind of capped with like the people that you get involved with, and especially if you're filming. Like if you're just strictly filming, I mean, you're only going to run into so many people. But the cool thing is and a lot of people, I know a lot of Americans are like, oh, the Aussies are taking over Moto. And I'm like, I don't necessarily think that they're taking over Moto. I just think that they're working really hard at it, and they fucking love it. And they love Moto. Like, Australians love Moto.
Well, and there's no, like, I think part of the reason for that, right, is like, you only ever see the outliers. So you only ever see, like, a Jet Lawrence, a Hunter Lawrence, a Chad Reed, like me with the media stuff. It's like, I'm like an outlier for it. So I think when you're from somewhere so far away, you need to, it's like all in, like for you to make it happen, you have to make it happen to like the highest level. There's no mid-range where you can kind of sit and be happy, So you either make it and everyone hears about you, or you don't make it and no one knows who you are.
So when you first came over, did you have like a set job, or did you come over to try and like make that work?
Gypsy life.
Yeah. That was actually a question that a lot of people like. So I posted the story. So thank you guys for asking the question. But that was by far the number one question.
Really?
Is he really a gypsy?
Well, so by like heritage.
We're going on a curve here.
No, that's all right. I'm from Scotland, so like, like my parents, my family is like Scottish or English. So that's like the whole traveling. They're like travelers. But not a real life gypsy in terms of my life, but family. But like, man, I lived when I bought that camera, I literally just like lived in a van. When I was like 19, 20, traveled all around Australia. I used to go to the races. I had no money. This was when there was like no broadband internet. YouTube wasn't even really doing anything. And I literally just like lived in my van, filmed. If there was a rider that lived close to the race, I'd go stay with them, film. But then came here. I came here with like, man, I probably in 2010 when I got here, I probably had like $600 in my bank account.
Really?
And I was planning on staying here for 2 months. So that gives you an idea of like
how hard.
The background, like the gypsy life, I was kind of I always just had the philosophy, like, I'm down to be broke as long as I'm enjoying my life and happy, and again, it's like no ceiling. It's like I might be broke, I might have $600 in my bank account, but look at all this possibility. Like, look what I could do. And I'm sort of always the guy that's like living in that space of like what's possible, what can I do. So I literally came here, no plan. I just wanted to just try and make it happen.
It's kind of wild what a camera can do.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
bro.
I know.
And I wasn't like, I didn't even know that I'd be like good at it or anything. Like, I just literally picked it up and started doing it. And then like, literally 2 years later.
Oh man. You don't got to worry about that in the studio.
yeah, like 2 years later, I was filming that Dream Ride clip, which got like over 1 million views in like. So yeah, I just went all in and just went as hard as I could.
Yeah.
And I ended up just meeting really great people here. Got a really good relationship with Wes and like his crew at Verb. That was kind of the crew I really got in with. And then Jeremy at Red Bull.
Yep.
And then the JDR team came over. I was working for them in Australia.
Yeah.
I pitched them a web series back in the day when like no one was even doing web series, like 2012. It was on video, man. Wasn't even on YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's kind of like a little bit of a backstory. And then I guess how it goes to the podcast, like I stayed here for like years. Most of my 20s had like a full video production company. We had Reds and like huge drones before DJI brought drones and shit out. We used to do a ton of work for like Red Bull, Toyota, Suzuki. Like I used to shoot a lot of campaigns and stuff, some music videos, like a bunch of stuff. And then I ended up having dramas with my visa, and then I had to basically go back to Australia. And I was kind of in the process of starting the podcast anyway, but then when I went there, I didn't have anything else to do, so I was like, all right, all in on the podcast.
How'd you come up with the idea of it and like the name of it?
Dude, it's so crazy. Like, so my Verb Moto of Australia was called MX Daily.
Yeah.
And literally it was my first idea that ever popped in my head.
Yeah.
And I was driving and I was like, MX Daily. So I was like, sweet. And then when I was starting the podcast, I filmed like 3 episodes before I had a name or anything like that. And I literally just texted my brother and I said, oh, what about Gypsy Tales? And he was like, yeah, that works.
Sure.
That was it.
Yeah. So it just came up.
Which is pretty wild.
No, it is. Like, so like the whole Tailgate Talk thing, I know Aaron Plessinger a little bit, and I know Jay Dungy's awesome. And so I DM'd him one day, and I've always wanted to get into like interviews and like talk to different people and just get to know different people. And because I knew Jade, I'm like, all right, I know I can at least. So I actually didn't even ask him how to interview Aaron. It was, hey, I want to start interviewing riders. How can I go about it? He's like, we're gonna be at the track tomorrow. Come over, grab him.
It is a good way to do it.
Yeah. And he's all, come over, grab him. I guarantee he'll sit down with you. I'm like, all right, cool. Literally I thought I was just gonna stand there and talk with him.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I'm gonna eat my lunch and I'm gonna sit down on the tailgate and we'll just do it there. I'm like, all right, cool. So I sit down, do the interview, and I post like a little screen grab of it. And I've said this story before and I feel so bad that I forget who did it. Somebody DM'd me and said, oh, it's Tailgate Talk. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool. So it's just kind of how you kind of came up out of, you like weren't really thinking too much about it and it just kind of came to you.
It was the same thing with Dream Ride. Like everyone, it's like Dream Yard, Dream this, Dream Track, Dream. Everything was like that at the start, or everything's like that now. But yeah, that was another one where I just an idea. Like Jay from JDR was like, I want a YouTube video that gets 1 million views. Yeah, that's it. That's the only.
That was the goal.
And I was like, all right, cool. So and then again, so yeah, I think sometimes like, you don't really have to overthink that shit. You know? Like, and stuff takes on a life of its own too. Like the whole Gypsy Tales thing, like Gypsy Gang, like people started calling themselves Gypsy Gang, and then that's how I started addressing, the start of the episodes, and even like I met a gypsy at the start of the video.
How did that come from?
Dude, a friend of mine, I was like, I need an intro song to put at the thing. And then I sent him a bunch of like samples and stuff that had like the word in it. Because gypsies are crazy popular. Yeah. It was my nickname way before the like years.
So it's been for a while.
Oh, yeah. Like probably since 2008. And like my Jay that runs JDR, he's one of my best mates. And we used to live together. Like it fits in every song. It fits in. It's like everything that word kind of goes. So it's just crazy how shit sort of takes on a life of its own. And now people want to get photos like I met a gypsy, and so it's pretty cool how things can just take on their own.
But I think and this goes for a lesson for a lot of people that are watching this is like you do it not for any other reason, just because I think you love it, and you do the things, and I from the feeling I get, I feel like this guy's gonna rev his bike again. But the feeling that I get from watching the stuff is you just enjoy doing it. And a lot of people, I think, don't enjoy doing it, but they think that they have to do it to make it or to do this, and they're not being authentic to themselves. Which to me is, that's why I think you do it so well, is you don't have to fake anything. I don't think you interview people you don't want to interview.
No, I don't.
You know, like there's no reason to, you know? And like, that's like the luxury that I have of not having a million sponsors and like, you know, endorsements. It's like, oh shit, I have to deliver for them. It's like, I don't got nothing. And I'm like, so I can interview whoever the hell I want, you know, and that's like something that I don't think too many people realize nowadays. Everybody's chasing fame, everybody's chasing popularity, money, you know, whatever it is. And so I just think that it's pretty cool, like how you've gone about it, how you've gone about establishing that whole podcast and everything. But I have always wondered about the Gypsy Tales like intro.
Yeah.
Like I thought maybe it was just you that did it or
Nah,
something.
friend, shout out to Bricks. Yeah, I think there's a saying that people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think that it was just one of those things with the podcast, like once I started doing it, once I saw like I guess like it definitely comes like real easy to me, you know? So once it was like, oh, I can do this, like this is easy, this is fun, like I really enjoy this has like a good cultural impact, like this is like a net positive thing. And yeah, for me, I was like, I just want to see where I can be in 15 years doing this.
How long have you officially been doing
5 years, I think.
Dude, that's a lot of growth.
2018.
Yeah, that's a lot of growth. Was there a moment where you kind of knew, like, I don't like saying it this way, but like where you're like, fuck, I made it with this?
I don't know, like, there's probably a few, but it's always like a real work in progress. Like, I think that's probably the one thing that if I could give advice to people, not that that's the question, but it's like, if I could give advice to people, it's just like, do the thing that's like just you genuinely enjoy doing and do it for like a long period of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you get that like compounding effect. But I think like right away, there was a lot of traction like on the audio downloads, and like I'd get 40 to 50,000 downloads of audio episode like from day one, basically. And I was just like, fuck, that's pretty gnarly. Because I had some good guests on. It was like long form in a time when no one else was like really...
nobody was doing it.
And I guess no one's still doing like the 3 hour one-on-one sort of deal. But like, so it was pretty good straight away. So I was like, all right, now I just need to figure out how to make the money side of it catch up. But like, dude, honestly, I was fully fucking broke for like 3 years doing it.
But you were willing to do it.
Yeah, and I went home, I was 28, or I think I was 28, 29. I went home, everything went to shit here. I had like a dog here, I had a fucking car here. Like,
so you were living here?
Yeah. Oh, I was like full. I hadn't been home for fucking years.
You were established.
Yeah. So I got like the rug pulled out from underneath me. So like when I say square one, I was at square one. Like I had 2 cameras, 2 mics. Like it was as grassroots as it kind of got. And I just literally was like, you know what? Fuck it. I like this. I feel like at some point this will pay off. Yeah. And it probably took like 3 years for the money to start coming in, you know. That
makes it a little bit more palatable for you to be able to do it. You know, you're like where it's easier to like do it when you actually have money coming in. It's like when you're struggling for so long, you know.
Yeah, I definitely like got sick of that side of it. But like, there was, I definitely just had a feeling like at some point it'll catch up, and it's like sounds cliche, but it's like trust the process, you know. And like even I was working on visas here, I kind of had the idea to move to Dubai and like start splitting my time so I could just be a little bit more available. But I'd say like that year 3 mark. But then to fully answer your question, I guess like the Ryan Hughes podcast, definitely, that was like a definitive moment.
Yeah, I stopped wearing knee braces because of that one.
Yeah, same, bro. But that was just, that was crazy. Like I think that was a bit of a catch-up effect of all the work I had put in. Like we were doing pretty good on YouTube, like it was starting to get better. But I think that show caught everyone off guard, like, oh, what the fuck? Like, where is he? What's the deal? Like, obviously Rhino was unreal. Like he fucking let it hang. And then a week later, Deegan hits me up to do it, right? And then so that's the first Deegan. So like in that, we literally did 1 million downloads in a week, bro.
Yeah,
like it was just on iTunes.
Oh yeah.
And I was that's what I was like. All right, we're fucking.
Yeah, something. Now you're like really rolling with everything.
Yeah. So, but no, it's just it's funny though, like it's sort of like losing weight, you know, like you don't really know you're losing weight. Like I feel like other people would come up to you and be like, oh man, you're looking really good. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know.
I'm not doing shit for it, but thanks, man. Yeah, whatever. Or you're working super hard at it and
but
you don't
just
see
don't
the results.
See it. Yeah, but it's like when it's the random person that hasn't seen you in 2 months, you've lost 40 pounds. They're like, fuck, you look great.
Yeah.
But you're kind of like used to it. You know?
Yeah. No, I get that. I think it's hard to answer. Like, do you have like a few favorite guests that you've had, and then a few like maybe Mount Rushmore guests that you're trying to get that you still haven't, like in that world? Or you pretty much gotten like the big heavy hitters that you've wanted for the most part?
There's so many more people.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking infinite, man. Like that's the other thing. I remember people saying when I first started, they were like, man, you're going to run out of people. I'm like,
there's people everywhere.
There is fucking people everywhere. But I think there's a couple like cool ones that stick out. Like there's one of the, I think it was like episode 16 or 30 or like pretty early on. Graham Abbott Henry, he's like an underworld gangster dude in Australia. And he's like 70 years old, stabbed a cop in the neck, did like a bunch of prison time, got out, and then could fully talk about all his crimes like 7-year-old
because
dude.
he already served his time.
And just fucking went for it, man. Like that was sick. Episode 100 with his chick Bridget Burt was pretty cool. And then I think like the Deegan episode's obviously pretty iconic.
Yeah, a lot of history.
Yeah, there's just like a lot in that. The Travis one was pretty cool. Like I think that was episode 16.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely been. Yeah.
I think one of my favorites, which actually helps me because obviously if you're in moto, you know a lot about the guys that are in moto. But when you interview like guys that aren't, like I would maybe necessarily not have. I can't get stung by that bee. I would. I'll just have to splice this. I'm allergic to bees.
Oh, same.
Yeah. I would have like watch interviews of like people that like I didn't really know who they were or whatever, and then you had Ricardo on.
Yeah.
And I knew of him, but like I didn't really follow F1. I didn't really follow like his journey and all that stuff. And I was watching. I'm like, dude, the guy loves moto.
Oh, bro.
He's cool as shit.
He fronts it.
Yeah, and I was
it's
like,
actually ridiculous.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, this guy's awesome. And ever since then, I'm like, I'm gonna start following this guy.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do with this too. Is, dude, this bee's gonna get me. I know it. Dude, that's like the beauty of like editing. You can just edit shit, but I probably will leave it just for the fucking fun of it. Is with like him, like having those guys that like you don't really realize the backdrop to him and the backstory to him and like everything that like kind of makes him click. That's what gets me going, and that's why I love doing this. Is like I want to know like just who you are outside of the podcast, away from and especially with riders. I don't think, in my opinion, the media does a good enough job at showing who riders are. I think the way that we do things is kind of fucked.
I think it's hard. Like
it is.
There's it's sort of the double-edged sword. Like I think the criticism I get is that I like talk too much and talk about myself and all that shit. But it's like that's kind of why these guys open up the way they do. Like because there's a level of like I'm okay to put myself
out there,
out there. And then I think it kind of gives them a license to. Like, I don't know that traditional media, quote unquote, is like the way that's going to happen, Like, you kind of never see that shit in other sports anyway. Like, it's only the more, in-depth kind of stuff. But yeah, that's why I definitely don't consider myself a journalist, because like, there's a journalistic line that you're really not supposed to cross. Like, if someone says, blah blah blah, like Wygant's not supposed to interject with his own. It's just like a different form of communication, you know.
He's supposed to say or ask this question, and the guy's supposed to answer.
Yeah,
And you're
and then he's supposed to take his notes and then write his article, and then we respect his opinion and we respect where like his viewpoint on the sport. And I think he's the best at it, you know. So it's like I just think it's like I think it's just a different animal, you know. Like you end up getting things out of people that you can't in a traditional sense.
And to me that's way more interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like you could ask a million different questions to a guy in a podium, you're going to get the same answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like if I ask a million different questions with you, you're going to get 10 different answers by 10 different guys.
Yeah.
That's why I like that a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right, so home is temporarily here. You're actually living in Dubai, right? Like that's where actually home is when you go home.
Yeah.
Married?
Yeah.
Got any kids?
No.
Got any kids coming?
At some point, I would like to.
Is she here with you?
Nah, she's on her way. Like, so she's Russian. So we've got to get.
Oh fuck.
America doesn't like Russians.
Not right now, yeah.
But yeah, so she's just in the process of doing visas and stuff. So she'll probably be here in a couple of weeks, which I'm excited for. She's like, it's kind of funny, like. As a kid growing up in Australia, you look at America as like, that's the shit. That's where everyone wants to go. A girl growing up in Russia does not.
She does not care at all.
She's like, gives zero fucks.
Oh my god. That's kind of cool though.
It is. That's kind of her in general. Like she's very, very different, very cool. But yeah, she'll be here.
How'd you guys meet?
Jiu-jitsu. She does.
No shit.
Yeah.
I saw your story that you posted.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
Yeah. I had a bunch of people send me that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I saw that this morning. I was that was pretty good.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see it. But so you guys met at jiu-jitsu and then you guys dated for a while, got married. Why the hell did you decide on Dubai?
It's one of those things where, man, honestly, Dubai is on a fucking huge.
I've never been there, so
crazy come up, bro. Like, I love living there. It's got epic riding. It's like it's kind of weird, like it's a desert, but so you wouldn't think there's that much like outdoors kind of shit to do. But man, I love it. Like so much cool stuff to do. It's a very transient city. There's always people. It's like that's the new Heathrow. Like it used to be London Heathrow was like the international airport everyone had to stop over at. But now it's basically Dubai. So for me, being in the podcast game, like I want to the next few years kind of get a little bit more like quote unquote mainstream, but start bringing stories of people that like Ricardo, perfect example. Like, bro, he is fucking obsessed with bikes. Like fully. The day he retires, like properly retires, like is the day that the two-wheel world opens
for him.
You know, like so he loves it that much. So it's like I want to find people like him. Dak Shepard is another one. He has one of the biggest podcasts in the world, and he is a full moto frother. Like all the MotoGP boys, all like so that's where I want to go because it's like moto is like the center of the atom for me because that's who I am personally, you know. And it's like, all right, but I see my way of like contributing to the sport and like growing the sport is to get these people that are outside on the fringes, have nothing to do with what we've got going on, and like really bring them into the industry in like a meaningful way. And I guess like their fan base will see them
and talk about this
and then be like, no, maybe I should get a dirt bike.
Like it opens up the world for them and it opens up the world for us, like outside too. Like that's outside moto and stuff.
And so Dubai is the perfect spot for that, you know, like for me to do a trip to Europe from Australia is like a 3-week ordeal. Because it's like a 24-hour flight. So you've got a couple days there, jet lag, you want to be there a week. Then you fly home, that's another 24 hours. And then you got 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks to recover. Dubai, dude. I went to Europe, went to a 6-hour flight to Barcelona, hopped the flight to Italy, watched the MXGP, hopped the flight back to Barcelona, tested the stock for a week, and then went back to Dubai. Like, nothing happened.
And it didn't change your whole world.
No, it was so sick. And just that's what I'm there for. And then, you know, you think about, like, you've got the F1s that are there, the MotoGP stuff that's there, the 24, the Cup car stuff that's there, the Dakars in Saudi. So it's just it's a cool part of the world, and I think it's on a massive come up.
World Supercross is supposed to be there.
Supercross is going to be there at some point. They got a 5-year deal apparently.
Yeah, which would be pretty rad. I was kind of bummed about the whole World Supercross thing.
Yeah, it's interesting with that. They got a new investor though. I haven't spoke to Bailey much about it.
I don't know anything about it at all, whatsoever. Other than that, new investors came in.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dubai's a cool spot. I'm excited for the next few years. Just being able to split my time here and there, and it's been a huge process. Takes a long time to get set up there, and then obviously here with the visas, and But it's the logistics that go into it is just insane.
Nightmare.
The flights, you got to have cars in every spot. You got to have a place to stay in. It's ridiculous.
All right. Okay, so the quick hit questions that all got asked.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap this up because you're riding, so I want you to get back to riding.
Yeah.
You're here practicing because you're going to race World Vets. What class are you racing?
I think I'm going to do 30B and 35B.
Okay. All right. That was one of the questions. What's your thoughts on SMX, the playoffs?
I enjoyed it.
You did?
Did you like it?
I didn't like the track. I liked the concept of it. I wasn't a huge fan of the track, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think they could have done a little bit better, which I think Chicago is going to be like a 4-minute moto or a 4-minute lap time.
Yeah, right.
Not really, but it just seems like a super long lap. I think that one would be pretty cool. The nostalgia that LA Coliseum is. I have a funny story about that one with McGrath that hopefully one day if I get McGrath on this,
That'd be sick.
Long story short, I held his bike while he went and popped champagne at Summercross one year.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was rad. Doing that, so I think that would be pretty cool. It just to me is that I don't like seeing races in a drag strip, in a drag racing type scenario. But I love that they're paying the riders more. I think that the riders deserve more. I think that the teams in general deserve more and stuff like that. But I didn't like the layout of the track. Other than that, I loved everything else about it.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I think I thought the racing was good.
Yeah.
Every moto, I mean, Chase kind of checked out of the 450s, but there was a lot going on, passing wise, especially in the lights class. Dude, I think have more split lanes.
I love that. I did like that a lot.
Have 3 of those fucking things. But yeah, I think it could be rougher. What I think would be the real win for SMX is if they really had to think about bike setup in a different way. And obviously they did a pretty good job of covering that on the broadcast, where it's we can't not run Supercross suspension because of the rhythm sections. Yeah. So it's I don't know, do we figure out a way to mellow out the rhythm sections, make them big and long and gnarly, but not the huge G's so that they can run a softer setup? Because I think that if you saw, more motocrossy, guys getting it wrong, more playoff specialist kind of guys. But I think the fact that you got so many dudes that came back at the end of the Nationals, points, it just gave
that was cool.
It gave us shit to follow all year, whether you like it or not. I think that we're in September, we're still racing,
and you still have gate drives.
Yeah, there's a championship on the line, and how sick. I mean, imagine if there was no SMX and Chase had to go into the off season.
Oh, with this whole situation.
Just think about the mental
stewing on it.
Mentally what it did for Chase to go 1-1 at SMX. Think about mentally what it did for Jet. So it's I think kind of all around the storylines are there,
Yeah. All right. Do you have a favorite rider in history?
Favorite rider?
You could give me 3.
I mean, I will.
Everybody always says, he's only going to pick Australians. He'll only pick Australian favorite riders. And I'm dude, I'm knowing him or knowing you, I'm he grew up in the era that is McGrath, Pastrana, Stewart, Carmichael, all those guys. I'm dude, that's a hard question.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, I'm really good friends with a lot of guys too.
Yeah, pick it. Right now, if all the other guys suck,
honestly, Ben Townley.
Townley's dope.
Is probably one of them.
Yeah, I worked at Pro Circuit when he rode for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's just I'm basing this off like who I'd want to go on a moto trip
Yeah. That's 100% true.
So Townley
Fast too.
He is one guy that I would take on every single motocross trip in the fucking world.
Yeah.
My dad's probably my second favorite rider.
That's dope.
He's 62 now and he still rides as much as he can. So I kind of like look up to him and want to be like him. And then who'd be my third favorite rider? I don't know. What's that?
Could be anybody.
Probably Ricky, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was like, I watched Bar to Bar 2004. Well, he wasn't in that one, but like that whole like 2004, his perfect season outdoors. You know, like I watched so much motocross of Ricky Carter, and like he is just a fucking animal. So
yeah, he's unreal. I'm a Stewart guy, so I don't really like him too much.
Hey, honestly, I love Stewie as well.
Yeah.
I have so much admiration and respect for moto dudes, and I mean especially like I think I've done 64 motos this year, like training for moto events.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm fucking still not that good. You know?
I know.
So
Yeah,
it's like the amount of effort these guys put in, what they can do on a bike, and what, just like everything that they go through. Like they're honestly some of the best athletes in the world. And
by
like,
far.
You know, I got, like Danny Rick could say that to me. Casey Stoner would say that to me. Like all the guys that are in the gnarliest fucking motorsports in the world, they get paid more, they're more famous, they all look at these guys as like they're fucking gnarly.
You know when that usually comes up is when guys admit that is when they actually ride. Like when you actually step foot on a dirt bike and you're like, oh my God, this is way harder than I thought it was going to. I've had other guys who were like, oh, moto's tough, but I'm like, have you ever ridden? They're like, nope. I'm like, I'm like,
go to Glen Helen on a Thursday when the track dries out and there's 300 fast motherfuckers
coming down those hills, going up the hills. Like
just the kids blowing past you.
Oh, I know.
Kids on 80s.
Dude, I know. That you see the kid on the 65 smoking that double? Like that kind of shit to me is just unreal. That kid is almost the same age as my youngest son. And I'm like,
that shit's, well, look, like Vincent Way over there, bro.
Oh yeah, he rips. Yeah, he rips fast.
So
he's super fast.
we got such a dope, gnarly sport.
Yeah. All right, the last two electric bikes. 100% the future. Do you think it will be a mixture, or do you think it will be completely taken over, like how 4-strokes took over 2-strokes for the most part?
I think it's just horses for courses, you know. Like I love the start bug. Like that's probably, if you put a stopwatch on me, and give me a choice of any bike in the world to ride, that'd be it. You lined up 6 of them, I'd be fastest on that bike.
No
like, guaranteed. Yeah.
That's
so
pretty
cool. Yeah, and so for that aspect of it, it's such a great bike. It's going to open the sport up to new people. It's going to keep tracks open that are closed. And like, think about you don't need to look at the Stark Varg to think about the future. Look at the fucking Stacey, bro.
Oh, I know.
That's it. Game over. Like every kid in America.
That's how my kid learned.
Yeah. And you think about the transition. Like I've got one of those Granger 110s.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah, Grangers are rad. Bro, I have one of them too. The G3 or the I
got the 110 one.
Yeah, but it's the E2 or the G3. I always forget the fucking names of them.
Sorry, guys.
But the big one, I have one of those too, and they're fucking awesome.
Bro, if I had that as a kid, the only time I'm off that bike is when it's charging.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, don't think about the Stark as like, is that the future? It's like, the future's there, and it's Stasics, and it's Grangers, and it's like, these kids that, I remember being a kid, and wishing more than anything in the world that I could ride in my backyard. You know? We just had like a small residential backyard.
And you'd bike pedal, like,
But like, so imagine just being a kid and making a loop in your fucking yard, and just, I don't know. I think that's where I think it's going to be the future, is that it's the gateway to get those kids. Like, what are those kids going to want to do? Those kids are going to want to ride motocross, because that's going to be the closest thing that transitions across. So e-bikes, are definitely the future. Will they be racing in stadiums? I don't know. Like 450s are pretty dope.
Dude, they are pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I still
the
think it should be 350s, not 450s.
Yeah.
I'm not fully a member of the church, but I'm like slowly.
You've gone with your wife, and she's maybe going.
Be like, hey, we might want to look into donating to this church a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
no, I don't think, and I'll always own a gas-powered bike as well.
I would too. Yeah.
We did a 50-mile loop in Mammoth.
Yeah.
With the boys, you know, we all had big enduro tanks on and shit. Like, you know, you're not going to do that, at least yet, on a Stark. And to get that kind of range, you're going to have to, you know, have a pretty massive battery, massive bike. So I think that they'll always have a place, but yeah.
I do too. I mean, just like you have guys that will only ride 2-strokes, you're going to have guys that only ride gas-powered bikes.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Biggest difference between Australian tracks and US tracks? That was like the second most popular question too.
Fuck, mate. The Australian tracks need to give themselves an uppercut.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, yeah, like, dude, honestly, people in America have no idea
how lucky we have it.
It's fucking crazy.
Okay, so think about that. I don't know, how does this compare?
It is Monday morning and I'm riding.
I know, but also I'm in Temecula, and so I could go to 4 different tracks within 45 minutes. Like, I don't think it's like that in Australia, right?
Bro,
like
one track that I have to ride, it's an hour and a half away, and it's fucking trash unless it rains.
Or do they prep it all?
Yeah, but they just don't. No one knows what they're like. I could lose it because we suck so bad in this department.
But that's crazy to me that you have guys that like Jet and Hunter and other Australians that
they left.
I know, but like you grow up in that, and then I know that they leave, but like you still have that, and it's like you can make anything work, you know what I mean? But it is like one of those things where you come out here every single day, the track's prep.
Yeah.
Like and
it's open.
And it's open, you know, like it is kind of weird to me. Like you don't really think about that. A lot of Americans don't realize that when you want to go ride somewhere in a different country, it's like you're open once every 2 weeks.
Well, our place is called QMP, and it's a pretty good facility, but it's just like, it's a fucking dice roll of whether you're going to want to still be there at 10 a.m. You know, and if it rains, mint.
Yeah.
If it rains too much, it's flooded. If it doesn't rain, it's done. Like, so you've literally, it's like surfing. Like you're literally waiting for the conditions.
Yeah. And
whereas
like, all right.
California is a wave pool, you know? But like, man, I rode Parla Saturday last week, Parla Monday, Glen Helen Thursday, Paris Saturday, and I'm back at
Parla today.
Monday. And it's like, I did 10, 20-minute motos last week, and I probably got better in a week than I did a year at home, you know? And it's like, I just think that, it's insane, like, how good the facilities are here.
How many different options.
They're always open. Yeah. There's multiple tracks. There's so many fast guys to learn from, too, you know? Like, I had some dude pass me at Glen Helen the other day, rode a really great line, and I'm like, you know, picking that up. So, it's, I've been enjoying it a lot. Like, even my wife said that the other day, she's like, man, you are living the dream right now. And the crazy part is, too, like, no one wakes up in Australia till 1 p.m. here. So, like, I can ride all morning.
And you're doing everything.
And then I go home, and then I'm, like, logging on before my boys at work.
And you could do stuff later, but you didn't miss anything.
Because, believe it or not, I treat Gypsy Tales like a regular 9 to 5. Yeah. And then I work from probably 5 till 10 every night. Anyway, you know. So it's it is insanely good here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I thank you for sitting down with me. You know, like I know, like it's easy to do it when we're at the track and you're here at the same time, but it's not easy to get your time and other people's time. So I appreciate it a lot.
No worries, bro.
But next time I see you, it'll probably be moto together, not just talking and everything. Sure. But I appreciate it. But keep it up with the Gypsy Tales. I think you're on the right track.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're going to be okay there. But I appreciate it a lot. And hopefully I'll be at World Vets. I might race.
Dude, do it.
I might. I don't know yet because my goal is to race Mammoth.
Oh, sick.
And
I'd love to do that next year.
I've always wanted to go there and just spend time there and take the family, spend a week there, hang out. My buddy Marshall has a place up there, and so he's like, yeah, come up and hang out and like do all that stuff. So I'm So I'm like, fuck, if I do World Vets, and at least I'm like doing some gate drops and stuff like that. So I might race. I won't. I don't think I'll be 30B though. I'll probably be 30C.
Yeah, well,
likely,
I mean, I should probably be 30C, but I just don't know. I'd rather get last in 30B and just stay out of the chaos, you know?
Now you're going to make me want to ride 30B.
Cool.
And then we'll have to race each other. Yeah. But yeah, no, thank you again. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time. And everybody watching, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button.
Do it.
That's the only way that it really helps this channel because I'm growing from nothing. But yeah, no, it's a good time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sweet.